Hi guys and welcome to round number 2. Today I played a game against a player rated around 2000 FIDE, and I decided to surprise him in the opening and played knight f3 for the first time in my life because I saw he is playing some stonewall type setups which arise after um, yeah, the first 5 moves, setting his pawn chain up like this. And since I have not yet committed to d4, he does not have the idea to bring his knight to e4, and I am later able to challenge his center with d3 and e4, which is quite critical and which can lead to bad positions for black quite early, and that's actually what happened in the game. So let's see how it went. He went bishop e7, which is fine. I played b3, developing my bishop, a5 and a3. I don't want to allow any counterplay on the a file with a4, so I just play a3 so that I could answer a4 with b4. So what should black do now? It's not so easy to develop because he has some weaknesses here, and as soon as he plays his knight to d7, he must be careful about the e6 pawn not being too weak. But also there I have the simple plan of just going knight e2 and e4, challenging his center, and it usually works out very well for white because white is just much better developed. When we compare the pieces, it's really tough for black to develop those two guys there on the queen side, while for white it's quite easy. And it's not so easy to suggest a good plan for black here. What I checked before the game was something like queen e8, knight coming here, queen to h5, trying to get some kingside play, but even here e4 is a move. And so in the game I was just relying on this e4 idea and also just implemented it after the moves b6, bishop b7. I chose to go e4 immediately. I also considered going queen c2, but then I saw no reason not to go for it immediately because the queen might not be ideally placed on c2. And it, of course, costs some time, so he might improve his position in the meantime. After this, white has quite a good position, and what he should do maybe is take, and take, but this endgame is also very promising for white. Black is having weaknesses and he has some issues with the development still, so it's not easy here to suggest anything for him, and white is having a good play. Also, if he's doing nothing, which is a reasonable approach, for example just developing, then I'm already attacking his weakness on e6 and f5. And also here there are so many weaknesses and so many squares where I can invade, and black has a horrible position. So probably the best is d takes e4, but in the game he chose f takes e4, and first I thought my move which I planned is quite forced, so I wanted to play it quickly, but then I realized I have another option. And even though d takes e4 is very good, knight g5 seemed even better to me because there's a massive threat and I might just take there later. And also I have additional pressure on the e6 pawn. And this is actually a good move. And he also found an interesting reply, which is e3, because if he just protects, I will take e4 anyway, so he gave this pawn back immediately. I took. Note, it's not so easy to take here because my other knight is still hanging, and after something like this might be better, but it's a bit unnecessary in my opinion to give up 2 pieces for rook here, even though I get some pawns. It's not what you would be happy about if you have some very good alternative. So I just took, and still he has the issue with the e6 pawn to solve. And it's also a fork, so he needs to protect it with the queen. So I expected queen d6, because bishop c8 is actually quite sad. He's undeveloping his pieces and not really seeing how he wants to continue. So queen d6 is good. And now I could already have finished the game, but I was not happy with one line here after bishop h3. I thought he might go e5. After bishop c8 I would have been quite happy, because after knight to f3 he is absolutely stuck, because bishop e5 is coming and then e6 will draw. And he's not ready to stop bishop e5, because knight e7 would blunder the e6 pawn. So that's very, very good. It's winning basically. But I was a bit unhappy here, but I could give check, and here I can win the exchange. Of course saw this, but I wasn't sure how the bishop gets out, because I simply overlooked bishop h5. And there is another funny line which I overlooked, which is queen h5, which is quite stunning. He cannot take the queen because I trade the rooks, and then I win back the queen and I win much more. I have so many discovered checks and could easily just grab the bishop with an extra piece. So I missed queen h5, and that would have been something which convinced me to go for bishop h3, because here it's completely over. Rook f6 is a threat, followed by queen h7 mate, and there is just no good defense. So I instead chose to play in the center and go e4, threatening e5, also threatening some stuff to open the position, because I'm just better developed. And he replied e5, which is kind of reasonable. And now I chose to open everything, and I was completely sure that this must be very, very good for white, because I'm attacking so much stuff. He cannot take my knight, because otherwise this bishop would be a monster. And I really could not believe what he can do, because if this check, I have d4 and I'm gaining again much more time, and I'm having such a huge initiative and all kind of weaknesses are dropping. But he found a very good response here, which is queen d8. And after this I started to struggle a little bit, because initially I thought this move is not so possible, because knight d6 dropping an exchange, but then I realized how difficult it is and how much counterplay he will get after knight d6. So basically I should just have taken the pawn, but in the game I wanted more, and I thought I have a bigger advantage, but I should just take here and keep some solid and big advantage, but maybe not winning anymore as it would have been if I chose bishop h3 at this point. So things went downwards a little bit, but still situation was good here. However, here I made the kind of bad decision to play knight d6 and grab the exchange, even though I realized that he has good counterplay with knight g4. I thought I'm gonna survive this, and in the worst case I'm giving back the exchange. But in this situation, after bishop f3, he could have even been better with rook takes f3, which is not easy to see at all, because after rook takes f3, note that queen takes f3 is not possible, because bishop d5. Black has a very, very surprising refutation, because most humans would play bishop d5, pinning the rook, and then white is indeed winning. But after queen h5, queen d5, it's different. If I now want to organize my defenses, he's just in time to play knight f2, and the bishop is already ready to go to h3, so I cannot play king to g2. And in this discovered check, king g2, e4, black is so active and black is much better. So I was a bit lucky that he did not find this line. He instead regained the exchange, and I played knight takes e5. Again, note that white really needs to be careful. Queen e2, attacking the bishop would just blunder the game because of rook f3, and I cannot take. So that's why knight e5 was played, and I defended my stuff, and he tried to weaken my king by exchanging this bishop, and my king really feels uncomfortable here. So I tried to stabilize it a bit, but again here I'm just a pawn up with my king being so weak. The position should be equal. However, after queen f6 and queen d4. I was lucky that he played rook e8, which loses the game. Instead, knight to d7 would have secured a draw, because in some position like this, I have no real chances because my king is weak. He has a lot of activity, and also the rook ending is just a draw because he activates the rook. And I have nothing to hope for. His king defends against the d-pawn, and black is just okay. So I was lucky here that he played rook e8, and white has the winning continuation queen c4, with the point that king f8 is impossible due to rook f1, which is protected by the queen. So that's why he chose to go into an ending. And here, of course, there is still accuracy needed, because if I just take it, I would just lose back my pawn, and black would be very active with probably a holdable position for black. So here it's very important I bring my further pieces into the game, and he cannot take the knight because the queen is pinned, and if he takes here, he can still not take the pawn because there would be a check on d8. So I consolidate my pawn, and in the game I even won a second pawn. After knight c6, rook d6, I can win a second pawn, and I should do it with the knight first, because if I take with the rook, I'm not winning a second pawn because I drop e4. For example, like this. It's just one extra pawn, and black has surviving chances. And in general, rook endings have a high tendency to draw, so keeping a pair of knights is a good choice. Now he attacked my e4 pawn, and at first sight it seems there is no chance to defend it, but there is a tactical way, which is knight c4. Now if he takes it, which he did in the game because he was under huge time pressure, I have this nice refutation, rook d8 check, king f7 fork, and after king e7, which he was relying on, I think, because my rook is attacked, I still have rook e8, and here he resigned because he loses the rook. So that was it. Finally a lucky win after a good opening and some misplayed middle game. So that's it for round 2, and hope you enjoyed it, and see you for the next round. Goodbye.